This country's been trying to chase us out of it while extracting value from us the whole time that we've been here. And it's not that we are uniquely criminal as Black people. We are set up to be set up in a system of incarceration, in a system of surveillance, in a system of policing. And they say, welcome back, but not really. Welcome back, but you can't really get a job. You can't really find affordable housing. And also that essential thing that makes you a member of a democratic society, voting, we're gonna make that hard too. So we need to recognize that this is not something wrong with Black people. This is something wrong with the system that we've been surviving for hundreds of years.
Real Talk is about highlighting real issues with real conversations to create real solutions.
Joining this episode of Jordan Real Talk, Fat Joe, the legendary rapper from the second best coast to the west, repping the Boogie Down Bronx. Baratunde Thurston, host of the super dope How to Citizen podcast. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, Angela. Good to see you, Joe.
What's up, my brother?
Well, thank you guys for being here. I want to just jump right in. There's a lot at stake as we get closer to this year's election. One of the things that has been talked about over and over again is the restoration of voting rights for people who have committed crimes and have been incarcerated. What do we need to do to ensure that people finally are truly re-enfranchised in this country, regardless of what state they live in?
We need to live up to the idea of one person, one vote. We need to live up to the idea that every person matters. And we need to recognize the value of everybody.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
We got to change these laws from a local standpoint all the way up. We get so emotional about who's going to be president, who's going to be vice president, but they can't really make those moves if we don't do it locally. So we got to get more involved. We got to know who's running for office, who can make changes in laws from the grassroots.
I just want to say that it's been one of my life goals to be cut off by Fat Joe. So
I'm sorry, man.
I'm putting that on my LinkedIn. As soon as this is done, this is like achievement unlocked. Thank you, brother.
No, I'm sorry about that, man.
That's so bad. Okay. There's a tremendous issue and has been historically with racial profiling and stop and frisk. And for some, law enforcement means protect and serve. To others, it can mean shoot to kill. What are some of the things that we gotta do through the political process and otherwise to fight back against a system that was always set up to serve other folks, but not us?
It's a great question, Angela. Black folks are overexposed. People of color in general are overexposed, but especially us. And it starts with police contact and who is surveilled, who is noticed by the system, who are they looking at? And I think if you step back from even before that, ask yourself, who's a criminal? What's the image that pops into your head? Even Black people will see a Black person because we've been trained to criminalize ourselves. So at every possible moment of interaction, we are overexposed. Black people experience violence at the hands of police at a far greater rate than white Americans, to simplify them on just two populations. Everything we do that we're supposed to do, we get no credit for. And anytime we step out of line, they throw the book at us, even when we don't step out of line. So it turns out there's just no right way to be Black in this country in the eyes of the existing criminal legal system. And that's why we have to change what that system is and how it operates and how it sees us.
When we think about what people are actually asking, what people are demanding in the streets, it's policy change. It's the thing that you go to vote for and putting that in action. It is an extension of the protest. African Americans are more likely than white Americans to be arrested. Once arrested, they are more likely to be convicted. And once convicted, they are more likely to face stiffer sentences. Whether we're talking about changing these numbers, these statistics where we're disproportionately impacted in the criminal justice system. When we look at all of these things, isn't this the point of the protest? Have we made that connection clear for folks? This protest at the ballot is an extension of what you're doing when you say Black Lives Matter on the streets.
What you gotta understand is that from inception, they're getting brainwashed to think, oh, just because he's Black, he's brown. So they become desensitized. They don't even look at us as them. So when you look at people yelling Black Lives Matter and protesting, those are Black and brown cops in the front too, beating us up, tear gassing us. Why? Because they're trained to think it's us against the regular American citizens.
We cannot beat the police with our hands, with violence, with fists, with weapons. But we can beat the system that they're corrupted by too. As you so well put it, they get brainwashed too. We can beat that system by shifting political power.
When we say defund the police, we're really having a divestment to investment conversation. But for whatever reason, it's become this argument at a fever pitch where people can't hear the truth behind the call. What are some practical things we can do to ensure that people hear the conversation and the intention behind defund the police?
Defund the police means somebody has a domestic dispute. Why don't we send somebody to go over there to talk to him rather than shoot the guy because he's arguing with his wife?
Defund the police means refund communities and refund the solutions. I did not realize that in my own city of Los Angeles, 54% of the city's budget goes to the police department. I did not realize in most cities in America, the number one budget item is to police, which means we're all living in a police state. That's just math. It's a mathematical observation. And then you look at all the stuff we're trying to ask police to do. You give somebody a badge and a gun and basically no accountability in terms of taking someone's life, the most extreme use of their authority, and you ask them to intervene for wellness checks, to run the crossing guard department, to do all kinds of intervention around people experiencing lack of homes, lack of houses. And you get, like, what would you expect? So there are other ways. And what I see people channeling from that protest is a deeply researched and obvious point that we should use other resources to solve these problems. And there's a way to get to that can bypass some of this noise and actually start to fix this. And those choices are on the ballot. Social problems should be solved by social workers. School counselors are needed far more than armed guards in most of the schools in our society. So let's move the money. Let's relieve the burden off of these cops who have been given way too much to do and way too little with which to do it.
Baratunde, we account for about 13% of the U.S. population, we Black folks, but we make up almost, or we are twice as likely to be killed by police officers than white folks. How do we ensure that we don't feel hopeless?
I saw something beautiful happening this summer after something ugly happened this summer. After Derek Chauvin slowly murdered George Floyd for all of us to witness when we had nothing else that we could be doing, I saw these movements that have been working so hard for years catch wind, catch fire in a way that was catching attention that we hadn't seen before.
That's a fact.
The largest movement for racial justice in the history of this country. That's amazing. Like, we're in the midst of so much trauma and so much tragedy and so much pain and so much noise, and just pause to revel in that and celebrate that. That's what keeps me motivated. The fact that with all this other stuff happening, that happened too.
That's beautiful.
It can be very tempting and exciting to want to imagine that next year, we're gonna be free. We're gonna have a whole new policing system and the Justice Department's actually gonna spread justice through the land. And I don't think that's how this works. We're not gonna reach a specific point in the near-term future, but we can take steps toward it, and we can be joyful and excited and creative in how we move forward. Most people want justice and liberty for all. It's right there. Everybody's pretty much down with Black Lives Matter. There's a loud minority, an extremist tiny group that has too much power right now. And that's why we have politics. And that's why we have elections. So you can rebalance that. So it keeps me going, not that we're gonna win the ultimate victory in the near term, but that we're taking major steps and that we have more participation than I ever expected to see this year with everything else going on.
The system is still stacked against us, right? It's stacked against so many who are just trying to fully participate. What are some of the things that we have to do immediately? Some things that folks can do while they're watching this at home to ensure that it finally changes?
We have a lot of work to do. I think in the immediate future, there are a lot of people whose votes are going to be challenged, whose attempts to vote is going to be challenged. There's people who don't even know they can vote. Everybody check your status. You know, it's like in a video game, you kind of check your health pack and you realize, oh, I got full strength. I didn't even know. Let me go do something now. And so check what your status may be. You might have more power than you think. And for those about to exercise that right to vote, triple check the process. You know, whether you're voting by mail or in person, early or on the election day itself, on November 3rd itself. Make sure you understand that. Study the ballot beforehand. Don't be shocked by what you find. This is not like a pop quiz. This is an open book exam, and everybody gets a copy of the test before they show up. So, you know, do that right. And as we get past this concept of voting, I think we have to keep the pressure up.
You know, 2 police officers pulled me to the side one time in the Bronx, like last year. Good guys. They said, Joe, what could we do? What should we do? I said, well, that's what you need to do from the beginning, is talk to them. Be nice to them, bro. You don't have to walk around with your chest out where we're mightier than you or we want the confrontation. Bro, if you talk to that kid on the stoop correctly and respectfully, most likely it would diffuse anything that's gonna go wrong because he would feel respected. He would feel the love. And I think that you can lead by love. You don't have to always lead with force, hate, power. You just lead by love.
The system needs to change, but we're also in that system. So when we change, it changes too. So let's work on changing ourselves, changing our attitude about what voice we have, what power we have, and who really has the power. I think it's us in a system called people power, AKA democracy. So let's try that out. Let's do it.
I love that. I would say to you all that this election is about voting for everyone who can't vote anymore. We vote for them.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
Yes. Election day, let's go all the way up with Fat Joe and Baratunde. Thank you all so much.
I'm gonna be on TV with Fat Joe. This is a big day.
That's so dope.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode of Jordan Real Talk.